Welcome back. Today we will discuss the ethics as a design, like how do we do justice to moral problems. So in this discussion, we will try to look into the ethical issues which are sometimes there in engineering design also, and we'll try to use the theories of ethics that we've already learned in how to solve these design problems. Also, we will use some of the design decision making techniques that we have to solve problems which are of ethical dilemma nature. So it will be on both ways. Let us see how we proceed about it. So the outline of the module will be engineering and ethical situations, ethical dilemmas, ethical theories as a solution for resolving ethical issues. We learn about what is a moral theory, and we learn about utilitarianism, the tenets of utilitarianism and the criticism of it. We will learn about cost-benefit analysis and how we apply those things in engineering like problems. We will learn about duty ethics, right ethics and virtue ethics and apply them to problems. And then we'll try to come to a decision to which theory to use for the particular problem which is there at hand. And we will look into the issues and techniques while solving ethical issues and steps for solving ethical dilemmas. And finally, we will look into the code of ethics as a solution. So this particular discussion of this lecture today will be mainly based on application first, a bit of recapitulation of the theories, because some parts of the theories we have already done, and more about application of these theories to ethical problem solving and design issues and other engineering problems. So we will start with the issues of designing, and we'll start with the suggestion given by Carolyn Whitby, which suggests that engineering design is in many respects a model for designing courses of action in many moral situations in engineering and elsewhere. So there is a crossing between engineering and moral situations, and we will specifically in terms of when we're talking of designing, and we will start with a small discussion that has been used by her in the class. So it was an assignment which was to design a child seat that fits on the top of a standard suitcase with wheels. She specified several constraints in it. Some were pertaining to size, like the child seat must be easily removable and storable under an airplane seats and in overhead storage bins. Others were pertaining to the use of it, where like the seat must be of multiple uses, including the possibility of strapping it into a seat on an airplane. Still other constraints were about the safety limits, like conformity to applicable safety laws, plus avoiding uncertainty dangers. So, yet there were many areas of uncertainty and ambiguity surrounding how to maximize safety, for example, like when carrying the infant on a seat, and how many convenience features to include, such as storage spaces for baby bottles and diapers. So here what we find in the problem given, there are a number of constraints given as per how to design the child seat in terms of the use, in terms of the safety features that needs to be maintained, in terms of like the size, and while designing, the designers have to keep all these constraints into mind. What it arrived, like the students arrived at strikingly different designs, varying in shape and size, as well as in the basic structure of the crossbar that held the infant in place. Several were reasonable solutions to the design problem, yet no design was ideal in every regard, and each had strengths and weaknesses. For example, one was larger and would accommodate older infants, but the added size increased the cost of manufacturing. Again, the bar securing the infant was more convenient in some directions of motion and less convenient in other directions of motion. So, if we consider these design situations, so what we understand, like there are always alternative solutions to design problems, and more than one which is satisfactory or satisfies us, and we cannot like be satisfying, or sometimes it happens all the constraints given to equal degree. So there could be differences in that degrees also. Second, when multiple moral factors are involved and among the satisfactory solutions for design problems, one solution is typically better than the other in one or some respects and less satisfactory in other respects when compared with alternative solutions. And in some cases, some designs are there which are clearly unacceptable, like while designing a chair for an old person. So it may be the issue may be to design a chair which may be at a low cost, but which in terms may lead to like backache problems. So whether we will be going for it or not. So should we take into this thing like whether low cost is more desirable or the person not having a backache is more desirable. So here the degree of comfort is something which cannot be compromised while we are designing a chair for an old person. So what we understand from the design problems is there are like first there could be alternative solutions. There is no one single solution to a design given. The alternatives that we have, one alternative is better than the other in some respects. It is not like in every respect one design is better than the other. Third, there are some designs, some which are clearly unacceptable because it like we cannot compromise with some basic requirements for the users that we are doing the design. Fourth, so in engineering design, it often involves uncertainties and ambiguities, not only about what is possible, but how to do it, how to achieve it, but also about the specific problems that will arise as solutions are developed. So this point is very important, which this point is important as it shows like in engineering designs what happens often it is as the solutions, as we work on the solutions, more and more problems may come up as we are working on the solutions, and then we have to design for and then we have to design for it again, or we have to make our choices of decision, like which one to choose, which is a better option to choose, where to maximize the pros and minimize the cons part as a ongoing process. And it is finally that design problems are dynamic problems. Okay, so it's that it goes on changing and newer problems may arise while we are finding out solutions to older problems. So now we will discuss about vis-a-vis, when we're discussing about moral dilemmas, we have discussed about the nature of designs. Now we will discuss about the ethical or moral dilemmas. So ethical or moral dilemmas are situations where in which moral reasons come into conflict, or in which the application of moral values are unclear and it is not immediately obvious that what should be done. So there could be three types, where we find directly the moral reasonings are coming into conflict. Second type would be where it is application is unclear and it is not obvious that what should be done in this case, and we are in a point of dilemma, because sometimes solutions which appears to be having short-term gain benefit may in the long run prove like it was not a correct choice to be taken. So, like elsewhere, in engineering designs also ethical dilemmas arise, because moral values are many and varied and may take competing claims. So, yet although moral dilemmas comprise the most difficult occasions for moral reasoning, they constitute a relatively small percentage of moral choices, that is, decisions involving the moral values. So, what we find over here, this is a solving moral dilemma is a very difficult part of the moral reasoning, because if we do not understand the moral ethical pillars of decision making very clearly, we are what are the ways how to proceed for it, what are the criticism of each of the paths, and how one way of taking one path of decision making is giving us a better solution over the other path of decision making, then solving this dilemma becomes a somewhat bit difficult, because we may not be able to see all the shades of the moral dilemma that is happening. So when we are about to take a moral decision, it is the moral dilemma is we call it is a most difficult part for the moral reasoning. So when we were talking of these dilemmas, then the ethical theories that we have as a backup support are a solution for resolving of these moral problems. But before we begin, we need to understand each of the theories have their benefits, pros, and each of them have their limitations also. So we will discuss here both the application, while we are talking of the applications, till where it is helping us and what is the limitation. And then given a particular case study, we'll try to see, given a problem, how each of the approach is trying to help us to solve the moral dilemma which is appearing over there. So, ethical problem solving is like again, so which is a problem solving which is done in engineering. So here what in this discussion what we'll try to do, we'll try to draw a parallel, we'll try to draw an analogy between ethical problem solving and engineering problem solving so that it helps us in a better understanding. So in engineering what happens, there is generally one theory that is considered when tackling a problem. So while we are studying engineering ethics, what's happening? There are several theories which will be considered while solving one particular problem. So the relatively large number of theories doesn't indicate a weakness in theoretical understanding of ethics or fuzziness of ethical thinking. Rather, it reflects the complexity of the ethical problems and the diversity of the approaches to ethical problem solving that has been developed over centuries. So next we try to understand what is a moral theory. A moral theory defines terms in uniform ways and links ideas and problems together in consistent ways. Thus is exactly how the scientific theories are used in other engineering classes. Scientific theories also organize ideas, define terms, and facilitate problem solving. So what we understand, there are four different ethical theories: utilitarianism, duty ethics, virtue ethics, and rights ethics, and their focus on what is held to be the most important moral concept is different. That's why we have these four different groups of theories. So first we'll start with the utilitarianism. Utilitarianism holds that those actions are good that serve to maximize human well-being. Emphasis on utilitarianism is not on maximizing the well-being of the individual, but rather on maximizing the well-being of the society as a whole, and it has got somewhat a collectivist approach. So, this theory has been used time and again while in situations like building dams. So, what we find, like dams often lead to great benefit to society by providing stable supplies of drinking water, flood control, and recreational opportunities. But these benefits often come at the expense of people who live in areas that will be flooded by the dam and are required to find new homes or lose the use of the land. Utilitarianism tries to balance the needs of the society with the needs of the individual. So, utilitarianism will try to focus on the fact like the cost which these people are paying, people who live in the areas of the dam which will get flooded, or like they're required to find their new homes, or like they will be losing their land. This is the cost that they're incurring. So the benefits that we get is more than terms of the cost that is these people are paying, and this benefit which is for the larger society, it is a collectivist concept. So utilitarianism again have two ways of looking at the problem. One is called the act utilitarianism and the other is the rule utilitarianism. So, act utilitarianism focuses on individual actions rather than on rules. The best known proponent of act utilitarianism was John Stuart Mill, who felt that the most common of the rules of morality, like don't steal, be honest, don't harm others, are good guidelines derived from centuries of human experience. So, if you see, these are all focusing on actions. Don't steal, be honest, don't harm others. These are guidelines focused towards some actions of people which, if they follow, is going to be beneficial to the society at large. Rule utilitarianism differs from act utilitarianism in holding that moral rules are most important. As mentioned previously, these rules include do not harm others, do not steal. Rule utilitarianism holds that although adhering to these rules might not always maximize good in a particular situation, overall adhering to moral rules will ultimately lead to the most good. So, actually, these are two are linked with each other. Rule utilitarianism is the principle like which tells like it is like bad to steal, it is bad to harm others, and then do not harm others. But the action is focused towards the action. So, both rule utilitarianism and act utilitarianism is linked with each other. Rule tells like do not harm others, and if you are doing so, then it is an offense. Do not steal. This is the rule, and if you are not doing so, then you are like violating the rule that is given. So, whether these rules are again bringing leading to the well-being to the society at large, at all situations that cannot be claimed in one go. But if everybody follows that rules, it is assumed everybody is following, then ultimately it is leading to the good of most of the people. However, what is most important we should mention over here, like even if utilitarianism is talking of the well-being of larger people, well-being of the society at large, so there are certain, and it focuses more on collectivist approach and less on the individual aspect of the person, individual. There is certain criticism of utilitarian approach. One of the criticism is that what is best for everyone may be bad for a particular individual or a group of individuals. So, here, like whenever we are talking of the example of the dam, we are thinking like it will bring in like recreational activities, it will be helping in irrigation and other things. So, we are here thinking of the benefit of a set of people, but here we are not thinking of the sufferings of another set of people. So, like whose homes are getting flooded, or who have to find their new homes, who are losing their land. So, it may or may not be the case. The group of people who will get benefited by the dam is more than the um, group of people who are suffering for the project. And it sometimes may also be the case like what we are thinking like will be beneficial to a larger group of people sometimes could be imagined benefits also, because we may or may not, it may or may not be possible for us to take a rational count of all people who will get benefited by the project. So that may be our assumptions also. I think type of answer. We think that it will help, but we may not have a count of the total people who will truly get benefits by it, and with comparison to the people who are suffering for it. So this balance may not always be a very objective balance that we have. That's why it is told like sometimes what is best for everyone may be bad for a particular individual or a group of individuals. Another objection to utilitarianism is that the implementation depends greatly on knowing what will lead to most of the good. Generally, it is impossible to know exactly what are the consequences of an action. As we have discussed while we were discussing the design, if you remember, like when we are providing a solution to a design problem, more and more problem unfolds as we are finding out the solution, and these problems have with newer problems with newer challenges. So even if utilitarianism claims that its implementation depends greatly on knowing what will lead to most of the good, ultimately it may be impossible to know exactly what are the consequences of these actions. Moving forward, what we have is a cost-benefit analysis in engineering. So, in cost-benefit analysis, which is a developed version over utilitarianism, what we have is the cost of a project are assessed, and so are its benefits. Only those projects with the highest ratio of benefits to cost will be implemented. The principle is similar to that of the utilitarian goals of maximizing the overall good. However, there are certain pitfalls of the cost-benefit analysis. Like from a pure cost-benefit discussion, it might seem that the building of a dam is an excellent idea, but the analysis won't include other issues, whether the benefits will outweigh the loss of the scenic wilderness of the area or the loss of an endangered species with no current economic value, because everything cannot be measured in terms of money. These are like something which is priceless, and we have to understand the value of these things, worth of these things. Finally, it is also important to determine whether those who stand to reap the benefits are also those who will pay the costs. In many cases, it is not so. Somebody will reap the benefits and other people pay the costs for it or suffer for it. So, it is very, very unfair to place all of the costs in one group while another group reaps the benefits of the project. So, what we have to understand in a cost benefit analysis, like for everything, benefits or every losses, there it's very difficult to put a monetary value to each of this, and we have to understand the worth of it. And also, we cannot ensure from these type of projects, like those who will reap the benefits are the people who are paying the cost for it also. Generally, costs are borne by other people and benefits are taken by some other person, and that's why this becomes unfair in nature. Next, in the next lecture, we will move towards the duty ethics, rights ethics, virtue ethics, and henceforth. So, in utilitarianism ethics and cost benefit ethics analysis, what we have focused is on the outcome of the project, whether it is of benefit to the society at large, and whether there is it is focused mainly on the society. The individual's well-being is not the focus for the utilitarian aspect, which talks of a greater good, but it has criticism in this regard, because sometimes what we think to be a good for a larger group may be some bad for an individual or another group of individual whom we don't see or we tend to ignore. And in cost benefit analysis also, we are focused on the outcome and try to see what is the cost and benefit ratio of benefit and cost with respect to the project, and we choose the project which is of more benefit. But again, this is with a point of caution to understand, like we cannot give a price, monetary value for every type of things that are happening. The cost, which is something which may not have a present economic value, but it's maybe having a very high aesthetic value. So it may be very important from the point of environmental synergy. So these we have to appreciate, this we have to understand, and we also have to see who is getting the benefit and who is paying the cost for it. And these are all outcome based approach. These are called consequential theories of ethics. In our next discussions, we will focus on the non-consequential theories of ethics, which are based on not on the more on the outcome, but in the ways the decisions are made, the process of decision making, and how it solves the moral dilemma. And after that, we'll take a case and we'll try to see the application of all theories together and try to find out if there is a moral dilemma, what are the different lenses taken by each of the moral theories to answer that moral dilemma, and whether we get a suitable answer to that dilemma or not. Thank you.